regular meeting of the Caroline County Planning Commission for August the 24th, 2023. It is 7:45 p.m. I apologize for the delay. We had a work session prior to this meeting, which unfortunately ran over, and our sound technician had to have a few minutes to get set up for this room. So with that, the meeting is called to order. I will invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commission members, the first item that we have are approval of the minutes from November 17th, 2022, December 15th, 2022, January 26th, 2023, and February the 23rd, 2023. Commissioners, have you had a chance to review the minutes as presented? Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, we will take a vote regarding the November 17th, 2022 minutes. Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve those minutes as written. Second.
Motion by Mr. Weaver, seconded by Mr. Young to approve the November 17th, 2022 minutes. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Regarding the December 15th, 2022 minutes, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as read.
Motion by Mr. Young, seconded by Dr. Horton to approve the December 15th, 2022 minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Regarding February 23rd, 2023, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as were read and approved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Young, seconded by Mr. Weaver. As presented, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed further, I'd like to introduce everyone here. To my far left is Mr. J.D. Young of the Reedy Church District. To my left is Dr. Carol Horton of the Port Royal District. I am Bob Schwartz of the Bowling Green District. Mr. Purcell Minor, normally to my right, is not present. To my immediate right is Mr. George Weaver of Madison, and on the far end is Mr. Richard Williams of Western Caroline. Present is Mr. Leon Hughes, our planning director, Mr. Craig Pennington, our planner, Mr. Chris McKenzie, the county attorney, and our sound audio technician, Mr. John Voigt, without whom we would not be able to reach out to internet land. Let's see. That's done. Mr. Pennington, if you would be so kind as to read the protocol for the public hearing, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. The purpose of a public hearing is for the Caroline County Planning Commission to listen carefully to the verbal expression and position and opinion from citizens of Caroline County. Public hearings are not question and answer sessions or debates, and all statements should be addressed to the chair. When members of the public offer comment, they need to clearly state their name, voting district prior to making their comments. Applicants or representatives of the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to introduce information regarding the matter advertised for public hearing. All comments are to be pertinent to the issue being considered. Persons speaking at public hearings are respectfully requested to keep comments brief, not to exceed 3 minutes, and to address only those issues pertinent to the matters advertised for public hearing. After the public hearing has been closed, the applicant or representatives of the applicant will be allowed 10 minutes to address any issues identified by the public.
Thank you, sir. First item on the agenda is Special Exemption 05-2023. Mr. Pennington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I read staff report, there's been a number of documents that have been laid in front of you before the meeting tonight. One of them is comment letters that you have received that were received by staff after the staff report had come out. So you've already seen those, but they're there for you in a hard copy. One is a letter that was received today, and so you've not seen that one yet, and that one's on your desk. There's a map requested by Dr. Horton from the case previously, and a revised comment letter from the Virginia Department of Health.
Thank you, sir. Don't believe we have had the opportunity to see the health department, environmental health specialist.
Yes, sir, that came in this morning.
All right, so for the sake of brevity, could you give us a quick synopsis of what the letter is about, whether they are?
Yes, so the health department had some conversation with the applicant after the first comment letter regarding food preparation, catering, and cooking. The applicant has provided a statement via email that no food preparation, catering, or cooking will take place in the facility. And so the health department has revised their comments in regards to that. The Office of Drinking Water, the health department asked the applicant to submit a sample to the Office of Drinking Water, and the Office of Drinking Water has responded to the health department. And so they have responded via that there were no issues found in the sample. And the comment regarding the drain field has been addressed with a county condition stating that the holding tank would be pumped after every event. And so the health department has revised their comment letter in regards to that as well.
All right, sir. And as far as the holding tank, we've got about a 5 or 6 page document here. What was the end result on the holding tank?
So the holding tank would be looked at by the health department. It would be up to the county to do a pump and haul for the holding tank. It would be required to be added to that list. But there's other, we'll talk to the applicant and see how they want to proceed with that. So after the presentation might be more appropriate time to ask questions regarding that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
The applicant is requesting approval of a special exception permit for special events facility pursuant to Article 4, Section 5.23. It's not clicking. Can you give me next slide? Thank you. The applicant is requesting approval of a special exception permit for a special events facility pursuant to Article 4, Section 5.23 of the Caroline County Zoning Ordinance. The applicant would like to host weddings and other events on the residential property. Next slide. The proposed venue would include a 100 by 30 foot enclosed structure, pavilion, and parking for 100 plus vehicles. This is a slide showing the property with Anderson Mill Road as an access point and the North Anna River and Hanover County to the west. The property is 5.4 acres, zoned rural preservation, and tax map 64-A-29A. Next slide. Thank you. The structure does have restrooms available for a holding tank for waste, and there will be changing areas provided for in the facility. If you look at this slide, you'll see the pavilion located to the south of the venue area. The venue would be the 100 by 30 foot enclosed building, and the shaded blue area would be the parking area. You can note the screening on the east side of the parking area is existing. As we spoke a little bit about previously, the Virginia Health Department had provided comments, and the applicant has responded via email that food preparation, catering, and cooking will not take place at the venue. The Office of Drinking Water has responded as of today and stated that there were no issues with the sample that was provided. And the holding tank for waste, the county is suggesting that the holding tank be pumped after every event to satisfy health department comments. And again, that could require a pump and haul, or the applicant could use a different means of sewage disposal. The structure has been constructed with permits issued by the Caroline County Building Department. The structure is built with thicker walls and extra insulation to minimize the impact of noise. The parking area will be screened from Anderson Mill Road by previously existing mature trees and plantings that have been added in the last 4 years. VDOT will require a low-volume commercial entrance to be installed, and the driveway has been widened to meet these width requirements. The applicant has committed to restricting access to the North Anna River. Next slide. This slide will show you the distance between the venue and the closest residential structures in Caroline County. They reside between 1,350 feet and 1,500 feet away from the venue. And again, you can note the screening between the venue and the closest residences. Next slide. The applicant previously applied for a special events facility in 2018, which was denied by the Board of Supervisors in March 2019. Since that application, the applicant has enclosed the structure that was planned, added restrooms, and provided additional plantings and screenings for the parking area. Noise canceling measures were used in the construction of the building with 6-inch thick walls, 6 inches of insulation, 12 inches of insulation in the ceiling, and double thermopane windows and doors for noise canceling measures. The applicant has provided engineer calculations for parking of 100 vehicles. The engineer has used a standard 9 by 18 foot parking space that's required by the Caroline County zoning ordinance. And this is the document that was provided to show that. The picture on the upper right would be shot from the end of the property towards the venue area and shows the area that would be utilized for parking. These slides show the screening from the parking area to Anderson Mill Road. You can note the mature trees and the new plantings that were added within the last 4 years, and the widened driveway for a low volume commercial entrance. Staff has suggested a number of conditions to go along with the property. All amplified noise shall be contained within an enclosed structure. Noise shall comply with the noise ordinance located in Chapter 68 of the Caroline County Code. The special exception shall be non-transferable. Special exception shall be limited to the operation of the special events facility to provide weddings, receptions, birthday parties, and similar receptions. No festivals shall be permitted. There should be no parking permitted outside of the area identified on the parking area of the general development plan submitted with the special exception dated 5/24/23. Removal of any delivered accessories such as tables and chairs shall be removed within 72 hours of an event. The hours of operation shall be Friday 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sunday 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. There should be a review of the application by the Board of Supervisors 1 year after the date of approval of this special exception permit. Trash will be screened from view of neighboring properties and disposed of properly. Any exterior lighting used to illuminate the event shall be source shielded and downward facing. The applicant shall ensure that a valid ABC license is obtained for any event that involves alcohol. There shall be one specifically designated security person on site for every 100 attendees of the event during the hours of that event. The event shall be limited to 200 guests. One person shall be employed as a parking attendant per 100 guests and may be the same person used for security. The septic tank shall be pumped after each event held. Access to the North Anna River from the venue shall be prohibited. And staff is also suggesting another condition that is not in your document, that the applicant shall install a drain field within 2 years of operation. A previous special exception case that was just approved was allowed a grace period for their drain field installation as well. So that'll conclude the presentation, and staff will be happy to answer any questions after the applicant has presented.
Yes, sir.
You have questions?
The sewage is going to be essentially pump and haul from a holding tank, correct?
It could be, it depends on how the applicant wants to address that. If they want to use the holding tank and the restrooms in the facility, it would be classified as a pump and haul, which would need approval. However, porta potties or the trailer porta potties that are used at many facilities would not require pump and haul. And so they could utilize that as well. That would be up to the applicant how they want to address that.
All right. And if they chose either one of those options, why would they need a drain field?
If they chose the pump and haul option, pump and hauls are intended to be temporary for temporary purposes.
For 1 year, I believe, isn't it?
1 year and a 1 year renewal. And so staff suggested that they be allowed 2 years after operation to install the drain field.
All right, thank you, sir.
Craig, before you go down, before you sit down, sorry.
No.
Did you say that the intent is to have the applicant provide a drain field installation within 3 years?
2 years.
2 years?
2 years of commencing operation.
Okay, thank you.
And the drain field would be like working with the health department.
Yes.
I mean, they pick the site and the type of drain field.
So they would need to have a perk test to find where it perks, and then those documents would be submitted to the health department for certification, and then it would require building permits for installation.
Thank you.
And did I understand you correctly that they're not going to have water because there's not going to be any food or catering done on the property?
Washing your hands only would be the water usage. And so ODW had the water sample tested and had no issues with the water sample for washing of hands.
Okay. All right, thank you. That answers that. Would the applicant like to speak?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and the board of members. I'm Doug Vikstrom, and this is my wife Sharon Vikstrom. We live at 21560 Anderson Mill Road, Beaver Dam, Virginia. We've been there for 40 years. We thank the staff for the time and efforts that they put into this time. It's really impressed us. And we feel the staff did a fabulous job in their presentations and the suggestions and the pictures that they've taken. So we feel like we don't need to add any more because the presentation was done so well for us. And we appreciate that. If you've got any questions, I'd be glad to answer anything for you that we can.
Yeah, let's do that after the public hearing because I think that there are some suggestions that I know I would like to make for you to consider. So let us conduct the public hearing first, and then you will have 10 minutes to respond to any concerns raised by anyone else, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, the public hearing for SPEX 05-2023 is now open. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Come forward, state your name and your voting district, please.
My name is Michael Mastropolo, and I was a 30-year resident of my farm property right near Carmel Church. I currently live in Fairfax County, but I still own property here in Caroline, both on the North Anna River, which I'm going to be speaking about today, and at Carmel Church. Still have property there as well. I want to ask if you all have gotten a copy of this information that I've asked Mr. Pennington. Okay, excellent, thank you. Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Board members. I am Michael Mastropolo, and I'm the owner of 16 acres of property on the Western Caroline District, part of which borders the center of the North Anna River to the north and the Vikstrom venue area to the south. Until several years ago, I resided for 30 years on my Carmel Church farm on Route 652, and I've owned the North Anna River property on the other side of the county for the past 33 years. I'm here to express my strong opposition to the Vikstrom zoning exception request. The project has already been overwhelmingly rejected once by the Caroline Board of Supervisors. It is the wrong project for that part of Caroline County and is seriously inconsistent with its rural preservation, rural residential zoning designation. First, venue, location, and size. The Vickstroms lost nearly all of their road frontage on Route 738 in 2003 and 4, as did I, when the Highway Department remediated the 90-degree curve that existed on Route 738. This is shown on one of the diagrams I think that I've given you. To the best of my knowledge, the Commonwealth of Virginia still owns the 2+ acres of road frontage between both our properties and the new roadway. County Planning Department photographic documents submitted by the Vickstroms to the Commission are misleading and inaccurate. They show boundary lines that ignore state-owned land, making the residue appear to be a very large part, 30% or so, of the Vickstrom property. The photographic and survey documents I submitted to you today correct that error and show a more realistic picture of the boundaries and space limitations of the Vickstrom 5 acres. Based on the foregoing, you must question whether there is sufficient space for parking and party activities for up to 200 partygoers. Second, without any permission from me, heavy equipment was used to construct a roadway from the venue area through my property into the river. The result has been to allow easy access to the river and my riverfront property by any number of people coming from the Vickstrom venue area. Third, when you visualize up to 200 partiers celebrating a special event or a wedding with loud music, alcohol, and a river with dangerous, deep, fast-moving sections, surrounded by unfamiliar woodlands, especially at night, it is a recipe for misfortune and tragedy, especially for curious young children. And due to how close the North Anna River is to the Vickstrom venue, despite sometime one-person lookout, common sense will tell anyone that partiers will find a way to walk the short distance across my property at daylight or dark to the river. Therefore, I respectfully ask that you deny the application for a special exception permit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hello, my name is Helen Ludwig.
Just a moment, ma'am. Mr. Voigt, is that microphone working?
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Helen Ludwig. I'm on the deed for property of 15381 Beaver Den Lane, which is directly across from the Vickstrom property. My daughter, Sarah Musavi, resides at this property with her children and is directly impacted. We are completely in disagreement regarding the recent submission of the special exception case and writing this letter to present several issues that are of serious concern to us and our family directly. As a riverfront resident on the North Anna River, my property, like I said, is directly across. And I submitted my letter and submitted a map, which on the applicant's map only included Caroline County. I am in Hanover County, which is, there are several residents that are impacted and are direct neighbors of the Vickstroms. So we're one of 4 properties actually in Hanover County that are impacted. And we are concerned mostly about the noise. We do hear a lot of noise being so close to the river. It echoes in the basin, in the river. We can hear conversations across the way. The hours of operation conflict with the application because we see that it says 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. But the letter from the Vickstrom says it's 9 a.m. and anywhere can go to 12 a.m. with their cleanup, with their the folks there. this is not acceptable and outside the Caroline County noise ordinance, which I believe is 10 p.m. is the cutoff for noise, and we are afraid we're going to hear noise until midnight with cleanup on Friday and Saturday nights. We moved to this area because we want to quiet, and it's at the rural setting, and we don't want to hear outdoor events held on properties as proposed by this. The traffic and the parking is a big concern of ours as well. In the discussion portion of the staff report, it states in paragraph 1 that 100+ vehicles will be able to park in the venue. The maximum allotment needs to be stated. Is it 100, 110, 120? It just says 100 and plus. Whereas paragraph 3 of the same document states 100 vehicles. In addition, although VDOT is requiring a low volume commercial entrance to be installed, is this for vendors and staff? The property needs to be evaluated by emergency medical systems, for sheriff and fire departments, for easy access for EMS. Thank you. We're concerned about the septic too, because in the report at the end, it also says that it's possible that the parking is now on a current septic field.
All right, Ms. Ludwig, I have to call time on you. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. My name is Stuart Sullivan. I live directly across from the behind of the Vikstrom property at 15380 Beaver Den Lane, Beaver Dam, Virginia, 23015. Directly across on the Hanover side. I also own property in Caroline County, been a taxpayer here for many, many years. Lived in Lake Caroline for 15 years. Glad to be out in the middle of nowhere. I had 4 lights in Lake Caroline. Everybody accused me of trying to start a farm in Lake Caroline, but I decided I needed to get out where I belong, and my wife moved with me. In 2003, we bought the property. We met the Vikstroms at that time. We asked questions about the river, about trying to deal with trespassers. We had people coming through. We live at Beaver Dam Beach, which is a pretty popular place on the North Anna River. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's tranquil down there, completely quiet. We had no issues with the Vikstroms ever till 2019, when the wedding venue issue came up. We're not a NIMBY people. I'm a live and let live kind of person. I want people to be able to do what they want to do on their own property. But when I got to looking at this and then given some information that it was only going to be 1 or 2 weddings a year and finding out it could be as many as 156 events back then, of course I came forward. I don't think any of you who bought waterfront property in the middle of nowhere would want a commercial venue in your backyard, especially one that trespassing has happened frequently on Mr. Mastropolo's land. The Vikstroms have got have a website up advertising their wedding venue now, yet they have no permits to have a wedding venue. Recently, a violation was cited. I came to that meeting to find out more. They had a wedding on the venue. They went down to the beach. They took pictures on Mr. Mastropolo's land. You have all that information. The county does. They have the pictures. We have them here. Pictures of weddings taking place in wedding venues and going onto his land without his authorization and taking photographs. We have a great liability with the North Anna River, a tremendous liability. We own to the middle of the river. This is a tidal river. My wife and I moved from Lake Caroline. We put chairs down on the river, nice teak benches. First flood came by the teak benches. The neighbors downstream probably have them now. It's a tidal river. It can go from 20 feet deep to 2 feet in a few rainstorms. There's no barriers. The health department permit, when I looked at that, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Everything in there says they installed this with no permit. They put in the holding tanks, but as far as I can see, there's no permit from the health department. They are required to go back. You read the same 3-page report, hopefully. I'm concerned. They've already demonstrated that they'll go ahead, that they put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, but in their case, I don't even see the horse. I had to abide by these regulations when I was there. I built a road down to the river. I had to pay $8,000 bond to get that road. They cut one through my neighbor's property. I don't think they got anything because they couldn't do it. I hope you'll consider this, and I have a great deal more information if you need it. And Mr. Pennington has my phone number. Be happy to have y'all come down and look at it, the whole board. from
Thank you,
our
Mr.
beach.
Sullivan.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak regarding this matter? Final call. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding this matter? Seeing no one come forward, the public hearing is closed. Would the applicant care to respond?
Thank you.
Thanks again. Just to start again, the river is never an issue here. Since the last meeting, and if Leon could cover this, that Mr. Sullivan was saying that we did a violation. There's also a letter that Caroline County that was
Founded, unfounded.
founded on, right,
Unfounded.
unfounded. No, there was no evidence or anything.
The wedding that they're speaking of, one of them almost 10 years old. They have pictures in there.
Would you
And
step closer to the mic, please?
one of the weddings they're speaking of is almost 10 years old. It was a friend of our daughter's. They went to school and they did it in our front yard. You know, there was no charge, it was all gifted, and hopefully they have that letter in their packet, right?
We
Mr.
do.
Okay. The second wedding was another friend of my daughter's. They've known each other 17 years. We had nothing to do with it. I mean, there are pictures of staff dancing with the wedding party. So I've never been to a wedding where you dance with the staff unless it's a friend. I've never been to a wedding where people go swimming. This is all enclosed. They are making the river an issue. It is not an issue for us. Nobody wants to go there. They're there for a wedding, and it's enclosed in that 100 by 30 foot building. The only time people go outside is to smoke, and that's within 25 feet of the venue. As far as the pictures, Mr. Hughes took all of those pictures. We did not submit one picture to staff that Mr. Mastropolo was referring to that were incorrect. I don't think Mr. Hughes took wrong pictures.
And everybody's talking about venues in this area. Magnolia Fields is 3 miles from us, and it's directly on the road. There's no tree protection at all. There's no buffer zones. There's porta johns out there. We're a different venue. We're not a barn type venue. We want to open it up to a more of a traditional enclosed wedding. We have heat and air conditioning. We've got numerous amount of money tied up in this building here. As of the grounds in front that VDOT has for years, we've been paying a guy $65 a week to maintain that hill so VDOT doesn't have to cut it. That's why it looks so manicured. And we take care of that land. Also, the flat land, we cut that with our own lawnmowers. Since this,
We've been doing that for more than 20 years.
right, since they've changed that road, which we're thankful for, not asking for any money from anybody. We've also maintained the driveway. Since that last meeting that we were accused of doing things, Mr. Mastropolo has went down and put T-posts to block anybody from going down to this river. And we have abided by that. And I've also put ropes up with no trespassing signs on it. We don't even go to the river anymore. We're done with that. Go ahead.
Okay. In regards to the septic tank with no permits, we did this ignorantly during COVID-19 in 2019, and the health department has updated us as to what needs to be done for inspection, and we're willing to do that. We're not arguing.
And we respect the suggestions of conditions that the staff has written. We have no problem with any of those. We'd appreciate an opportunity to try to, for a year, to get moving with this. We have a church that likes to use the place for free because they don't have room like we have.
The community even used it for a funeral.
Yeah.
No charge, just use it. Birthday parties have been held in it for kids, at no charge. We don't need that. We want to give to the community. The other point, the road, we have a lot of 2 acres in front of us. The road that belongs to VDOT that we've maintained. So it's not like the vehicles are on the road. There's 2 acres between us. There's 10 acres between the Stuart Sullivan and his house across the river. There's a river that has a dam that runs, and you can hear the dam all the time unless it's flooded. So it's impossible when they're down there playing on the beach. I can hear people, but I can't hear what they're saying. Mr. Mastropolo is 16 acres across, and his home cannot be built right beside us. It has to be, it's undeveloped, wooded area before he can even get to build his home.
We've also planted over 100 trees since the last meeting we had in 18 to do a blockage. We've put a lot of money, like I said, into this project. And we've noticed that the other venues that have been approved, they've also built their venue before they got approval. So we thought that would be the best direction after we got denied the last time, because now you can see what we've got. And like I said, the walls are 6 inches thick with 6 inches of insulation. The ceiling is 12 inches of insulation in it. Thermopane windows, thermopane doors. It's also, if you look at it, it's about 5 feet below ground because of the way the land lays with the retaining wall that goes around it. So we put a lot of thought into this for the noise, and just, we have people come in the driveway and go, I didn't even know this was down here.
In June this year, June 9th, we allowed our church to host a family camp event. I think it was 95 people. Nobody made a complaint about hearing anything. And they held the teaching and service inside the structure. We camped outside. They did. They had camp tents, set up tents. We had a little campfire. No complaints. Nobody knew that was going on. And we would love for you to come and view the property, and we can walk to the river and stop at the post so you can see for yourself. And we will walk down the road to see where Mr. Mastropolo's property is for him to build a home. And you can see Mrs. Ludwig's home from, across, you'd have to go down on our property to see her home. But my point is, June 9th, we held an event, free church event, which we were allowed to do by the county. Mr. Pennington said we could do that. And nobody complained because they couldn't hear anything. They didn't even know it took place.
And about the drain field and situation, just last month, there's a property right beside us that the BZA approved for this man to build his house 50 feet from the road, and he can put his drain field in the floodplain and his well in the floodplain. That was approved by the BZA.
Just the plan. He's
Right.
Still got to apply.
He has to apply for it all, but there's been a lot of, and that is right beside us, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So we thank you for your consideration and giving us a chance here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Horton has a question.
So thank you for an invitation to your property. I would like to see it. And I was on this commission in 2019, but somehow I don't remember it coming through. It may have been a meeting. I don't usually miss meetings, but it's possible I missed that meeting. Why was it rejected the first time?
You sent it through.
Yes,
Planning
planning
commissioner
passed
sent
it through
through.
6 to 6.
And the board rejected it. Do you remember, Mr. Pennington? I don't know if you were working for the county then.
He was.
There were concerns regarding noise. At the time, the structure wasn't enclosed, and so there was concerns regarding noise for the structure. There were concerns regarding parking, which is why they had an engineer do calculations for the parking this time. There were screening issues there, so they provided
Okay.
more plantings. And so the applicant has tried to address the issues that were brought up at the Board of Supervisors when they were denied.
And somewhere on here we have that it's 100 spots for cars.
Yes, the GDP that was provided, it's on one of the slides, but the GDP that was provided shows a parking area, and that was engineer stamped, and it's got 100 spaces on there, and he used the 9x18 required parking spot that is in the Caroline County zoning ordinance to do those calculations.
And what was the violation on this property?
There was a violation issued by the county for hosting weddings without a special events permit. It was appealed and went to the BZA. And after discussion with the BZA, the county asked to cease and desist, and it ended up being withdrawal with no findings, as the applicant agreed that they weren't going to do any weddings until they acquired permits to do so.
So there's been 2 for family, friends, 2 that we know of.
Yes.
And
one was in 2014.
okay. How far is this property from I-95? Do we?
12 miles.
12, okay.
Yeah.
And the property you're talking about belongs to VDOT. Is that sort of a right-of-way, or it
Yeah.
sounds like more
Yeah.
than the normal right-of-way?
So they straightened Anderson Mill Road a number of years ago. I believe it was the early 2000s. And this property, when they straightened the road or got the corner out of the road, this property was left in the VDOT right of way. So you can see the screening of the trees on that slide to the left. The area between the trees and Anderson Mill Road is VDOT property and is not part of the application.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's because, so the road was further to
The road
right?
was along the tree line and came north and then made a sharp
Oh,
right
I
to the
see,
east.
I
yes.
see where, yeah, okay.
And so they smoothed the curve out to reduce accidents, and VDOT was left with the property in between what you see as the tree line that is being used for the screening for the parking area and Anderson Mill Road. So that triangle is VDOT property.
Okay. All right. 2 more questions. So so you all don't have property on the river. So why was a road, why did you
We do have property on the river. When I first bought that place 40 years ago,
Uh-huh.
we've been using the river. We had permission from Mike Mastropola to use the river.
Okay.
Okay, so we maintained this property also for many years, bush hogging it and cleaning it. But since this, we have ceased doing it. And the place has pretty much grown over again.
So it's not your property, but you maintain it for
Yeah.
him.
I was maintaining it, and he had no problem letting me maintain it.
Just
Okay.
like we maintain the driveway without his help, but he uses it. He cannot access the beach without coming into the driveway.
Your driveway?
The driveway that you see right there, he has no access to the beach from his property. This beach was a part of the mill home. We live in the original Anderson Mill home.
Okay.
And the road's named after our house.
All right. I could probably see that a little bit better too. When
Okay.
it come out.
And the 100 car parking, people carpool when they come to a wedding. They use at least couples. So it's not like it'll be 100 cars all the time, hopefully. Or if it is, it's equipped to handle it.
So, and you did hear that the license will be reviewed if it's issued, you know, the
Yes.
first year. And then, of course, you know, you could lose a license at any time. Also, if there's certain types of violation, am I correct? Okay. All right.
If there would be, if they were to violate the conditions, then the board would hold a hearing, and the board could revoke the permit if there were violations to the conditions, or give them time to correct any issues to the conditions, but that would be up to the Board of Supervisors if there was a violation of conditions.
And if this is approved, they're going to fall under the same operational status as the other wedding venues.
Yeah, that is correct, yes.
Okay. Because we do have, I'm sure you all have seen them. County does have, I guess we call it, we have 5 venues right now. And they're all under the, I forgot what the name of the ordinance is. It's the wedding venue. What is it called?
Special events facilities.
Special events
Yes,
facility.
we have 5 facilities currently permitted under a special events facility to host weddings and private parties.
Okay. All right. I think that's all I had.
Mr. Pennington,
Yes, sir.
the cease and desist order,
Mhm.
was that based upon a paid wedding event?
No, it was based upon pictures that were displayed and advertisements on the internet, but there was no finding. I have the letter if you'd like to see it.
So we have no reason to believe that a paid wedding event was held. We have no evidence of that.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all that I have for you, sir. For the Vickstroms, I do have a couple of things I would like to go over.
Okay.
You're going to have a person designated for parking, and that person may also function as security.
Yes, and we've talked to our neighbor who is a detective for Hanover County, said he'd be glad to do that.
Because my question was going to be, what do you expect of your security person?
I would trust him with my life because he knows.
No,
what he's doing.
I mean more specifically for your venue, sir. What do you expect your security person to do at the venue?
After parking is taking place, he will be patrolling and just paying attention who is doing whatever, if they're intoxicated or not, you know, and calling that as a security guard.
I assume that alcohol will be served.
Yes, and the person, go ahead, you know how to answer that.
That depends on the bride. Some
Well,
brides do
if-
not allow.
Right, if the bride wishes.
And the bride and the groom are responsible for the ABC license, and they are responsible to have $1 million minimum insurance policy day of. And it's in their contract that they are responsible to let their guest know the contract conditions.
Yes, ma'am, I'm aware, and I want that as a matter of record. For this reason, I've been to a couple of weddings in my few years of age, and I do know that young people will tend to sneak alcohol if they get a chance. So your security person is going to have to be aware of that, especially if they're a law enforcement officer, because it's a violation of the ABC laws and state laws of Virginia.
Absolutely.
So we don't want, or I don't want that monkey falling on your back.
Thank you. We don't either.
No. I also know that some people in my age group and some younger people, when they get to drinking, they're going to see the river as an attractant.
You can't see it.
We have let everything grown up. We've actually planted bushes on the side to block that.
Okay.
And like I said, when you come,
You can't
please
see
come and look at it. You can't see it.
One of the conditions that I was going to suggest was that you put up some type of fencing or barricade to keep people from walking from your property line onto Mr. Mastropolo's land to get to the beach. Because some people, when they get the alcohol in them, they want to go to the water and, frolic on the beach, whatever they want to do. So I was looking for a way to help you minimize that.
That's a part of the security.
Yes.
And also, the bride, that would be in her contract. And these brides don't play. The money they spend on a wedding.
Now, down the road from you, I believe that there is a public boat landing. Is that correct?
20 minutes
Not
at
that
Lake
I know
Gannon.
of.
Okay, I was informed that there was a public boat landing not far from your property.
Well, we haven't seen it.
Okay.
We'd like to
It
know
may
where
be
it
hidden.
is.
Because certainly if someone accesses the river from another point and comes down towards the dam, they can stay on the water, but they cannot step foot out on land without trespassing.
Right, we understand that.
So I didn't want someone to try to circumvent it and do an end run.
People float the river all the
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And in canoes and john boats.
Right.
But there's no boats on the river. It's not deep enough or big enough.
All right. And I do have one more thing for Mr. Pennington that does. And Mr. Pennington and I discussed this Monday. They're going to be operating under a pump and haul. And the present condition says that it will be pumped after each event. There is a cost factor involved in that. Do we know how large this holding tank is? How many gallons?
1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons. I don't think one event is going to generate anywhere near 1,000 gallons of sewage. And there's a gentleman behind you, but I'm sorry, sir, the public comment is over with. Be that as it may, I'm just wondering if it's going to be too much to request that a pump and haul be conducted after each event. For example, if they have an event on Friday, and then they have another one on Monday or Tuesday, certainly 1,000 gallons of dark water, as we call it, is not going to be generated in that amount of time. So is it really fair to require a pump and haul after each event? Or should it be on an as-needed basis? I mean, I think we can come to some term that is more fair to the applicant.
In discussions with the health department,
Yeah.
we stated about pumping after each event, and that is one of the reasons the health department revised their comment letter. We would need to revisit the health department if you wanted to pump after every 2 events or every 3 events to see if they're still okay with that comment or if they want to revise again.
Okay.
We stated the one after each event because that satisfied the health department's comments.
Okay.
They're probably going to have to make the decision, the health department.
All right. Well, if that is a condition that is agreeable to the Vikströms, then I have no objection to it. I was just trying to look for something to be fair. So I tried, but I don't want to delay the process for them any further should it be approved. Thank you, sir. Any other commissioners have any questions? Thank you, folks.
Thank y'all.
Commissioners, any discussion?
I definitely think a visit to the site is very important. Since we've just exposed all these things like the distance to the water, is it screened, how far from the roadway? I would highly recommend that the commissioners go out to the site and see what's there. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, Mr. Pennington, if you would be so kind as to arrange a site visit. I hope that's agreeable to the Vikströms, and we will revisit this matter again. Thank you.
And I appreciate that especially because one time when I requested a visit, I was told no. And I, yeah, and I think, and we do visit most of these sites.
All right, that being the situation, we will defer this matter to our next meeting.
Right, so we just need a motion to that effect.
Yes, sir. Is there a motion to defer until our next meeting?
I would make a motion that we defer SPEX 05-2023 to our next meeting.
A second.
Motion by Mr. Weaver, seconded by Mr. Williams, I believe, and Mr. Young. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. He's confused. He has issues. Motion carries. This matter is deferred until our next meeting pending a site visit. Thank you, one and all. Next on the agenda are any and all matters.
Mr. Chairman, we have no any and all matters tonight.
Very good. Thank you, sir. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, is there a motion to adjourn till our September 28th, 2023 meeting at 6:30 p.m.?
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting until next meeting in September.
Motion by Mr. Young, seconded by Mr. Williams to adjourn until our next meeting. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a good evening.